This episode contains sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised. Well, welcome back to Milkhouse Podcast, episode 11.
11.
So crazy.
11. How is everyone today?
Very good.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, yeah.
So good.
What?
Why would you ask that question?
What's that on your hand?
This, some like bedazzled cast.
So when you sent me that picture, I noticed it was bedazzled.
Yeah. So it became an all supervisor decision. There was a group chat, and they said, "What are our options?"
Oh,
And
so
then-
pre-bedazzled.
Yeah, and so we picked this color because I had a Mother's Day brunch this weekend, and so the neon yellow wouldn't be so great for that. And then they thought sparkles would be good for my zazzy personality. So to make everyone happy, got some sparkles on this cast. So
You know,
Fits.
yeah, it
Yeah.
looks good for a
It's-
cast. So why don't you tell the listeners what happened?
So Monday evening, I was out walking the dog that has been staying with me for a little bit, and I stopped by my car to grab something, and I let go of the leash just a little bit, and so it fell down by my pinky finger. And Espen, who is an Australian Shepherd, loves mud puddles and squirrels, and he saw a mud puddle, and he ran and tried to take my hand with him, and the leash snapped the bone in my pinky finger.
Gosh.
And I thought it was just dislocated, so I just cried a little bit and put like a foam, I don't know, splint on it.
Yeah, it looks
and
like a
then-
splint.
Yeah, that wasn't me. They cut this yesterday. That's just to stabilize this so
Mhm.
it doesn't move. And then the next day, it turns out it wasn't dislocated. It was completely broke.
Even better, right?
Yeah, just so great.
And
So,
is that a cast or a brace?
oh yeah, this is a full on cast.
So is it to hold your wrist in place?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll do more x-rays on Tuesday.
Man.
So
Espin, or I like to say ESPN.
I
yes,
can't help
yeah.
but want to say that every time.
I do too. Sometimes in my head,
It's
I'm
spelled
like,
the same.
I know.
Espen. Well, it's for ESPN. That was his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
So Espen is it. He's a great dog. I've joked that if he knew what happened, he would be super devastated. So
Brittle.
I'm
the
sure he's
sweetest
devastated.
dog ever. So
He just breaks a finger or two every now and
it's
then.
just
Yeah.
it's
Every
not
few thousand miles is gonna
Not a
happen.
No.
big deal.
I will share because it does make the story better. Again, this dog has been absolutely great. He's the sweetest dog ever. But a couple weeks ago when I was out of the state, my sister stopped by to take him out. And because of his strength, he ran off from her. She wasn't expecting it and chased a squirrel up one of our electric poles. It got fried by the transformer, so it shut down several houses on our campus with electricity. And then once the squirrel fell down, that terrified Espen even more. And then he took off running, and my sister had to chase him around campus. So mud puddles and squirrels.
It's-
Those are his
I've had to
kryptonite.
chase a few dogs myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Espin reminds me of those scenes in Marley and Me.
Yes.
The dog
yeah.
is just out of
Just
pure
can't help
innocence,
it.
but it's a
Yeah.
menace.
Yeah, it's so. Usually, he's a great dog and has been the best. But squirrels and mud puddles are going to take us down
It's only
every
weakness.
time. Yeah,
Sounds
So, yeah.
sounds very common.
yeah.
Dogs
Well,
like those.
So
I'm
we'll see
sorry
what
for your
happens Tuesday.
unfortunate. happened.
Thanks.
Well, we'll post a picture.
yeah,
I think we'll get some
I've
sympathy.
sent so many pictures because it's again I've never had this happen before in my life. This is a moment. So
Yeah, broke a collarbone, right side. So right
Ugh.
side, strong
wrong
side.
yeah.
They say try everything once and the good things twice.
This is a one and done. I can promise you that.
Oh man, Kyle, how are you, dude?
Yeah, I just wonderful, perfect.
Good. Jorge, how are you, brah?
I'm doing all right, but I'm not your
Alright.
bra.
What'd you say to me?
You're excused, but I'm not your bra.
Hello, Hansel. I don't know about Gretel.
Yeah. Oh man.
That was so good, Jorge.
I had to. It was
Yeah, you had
perfect.
to.
I
It
set
was
him
good.
up. It's
Yeah,
an alley oop.
it was
You
good.
did. I've actually been quoting Zoolander for the past few days, which is weird that this opportunity
Presented
We're on
came
the
into
same.
light.
We're on the same frequency.
I guess.
Did you manifest it a little bit?
My buddy
No?
sent me a YouTube short, and they were like asking Matilda. They were like, "How do you feel about models?" And then she goes, "I think they're stupid." Blah blah blah. Like, and then she's like, "I think that they're all this, that, and the third." And then Owen Wilson goes, "Oh, so how do you feel about male models?"
Such a funny movie.
That's Ben Stiller, though.
Oh
He's
yeah.
the
Well, that's
best.
old school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old school Ben Stiller is the
Oh,
best.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Go
maybe we'll
Naughty
get
Boy.
a Ben Stiller trivia. Should we play a 90s trivia
We
card?
can.
Okay.
All right.
He's definitely not a part of it today, but
Dang.
sorry. Next time. Okay. The question is, which of the following people are not Canadian? Which of the following? Okay. Which of the following persons is not Canadian? So your group is Shania Twain, Jim Carrey, Keanu Reeves, and Joel. Which one is not from Canada?
And
Yeah,
who?
Joel, the musician.
Jewel.
Yeah.
I'm saying Jewel. She's not
That's
from
your answer?
Canada. Yeah.
That's your answer too? I forgot to set the timer.
Oh,
I'm
there's a
gonna say
timer?
that too because I think Keanu Reeves is. I know for a fact Jim Carrey is.
I actually have no idea.
Yeah,
This is
but
I think
okay.
Jewel is
For
the
sure, Shania
non-Canadian.
Twain is from Canada.
Oh yeah.
It was Jim Carrey.
So
It was a 50-50 for me.
the answer is Joel.
Yeah.
Well, I can't
I knew it.
know.
That was a good one.
Who
That's
knew?
okay.
Who knew?
We barely even know who she is, so that's not even
Well,
fair.
I know who she is.
What?
She
I
made
had
some
to-
I know
killer music back in the day.
Did she?
I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about
Are they
Shania
again?
Twain. You'd think that someone with a name like that is from Tennessee.
They were a diamond in the rough.
With the jokes. Always the
Okay.
dad jokes.
So before we
it.
move on, any corrections or comments from last episode? I do have one.
Okay.
So I made you guys really confused. So when I was saying we're talking about extinct animals, I said the Tasmanian devil. Totally a real thing, not extinct. I meant the Tasmanian tiger. Do you know what I'm talking about? No?
Well, I know we
Yeah.
discussed this the other day.
Yeah,
but
I mentioned it to
after-
Jorge after we recorded, and he was like, "Oh yeah."
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It used to be a thing.
It used to be a thing, yeah. I'll look that up.
Yeah,
Oh.
it has some superstition to it
Oh.
too. I think it drinks blood of other animals, just stuff like that. But
Ooh, fun.
that's what I meant, not the Tasmanian devil.
Sure.
Mm.
So that's my bad.
You can admit if you thought it was the devil.
The devil.
Yeah, the Tasmanian devil.
Maybe my mind was occupied.
Could have been with the New Jersey devil.
It could have been.
It was.
Could have been.
Maybe that threw me off. Maybe it threw me
Well,
off.
when he
Makes
said
sense.
devil, that's what I was thinking of, So when he said Tasmania, I'm like, what?
I had never heard of the New Jersey devil, so that was
Really?
completely new. Yeah.
Now, this depends on if you had time or not, because your unfortunate incident. Were you able to watch
Oh,
Jurassic Park?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts?
I really liked it. I did not realize the Santa Claus from Miracle on 34th Street was in it, and that made my day.
Yeah, Mr.
Dr. Hammond?
Dr. Hammond, yeah.
Yeah, that I did appreciate that.
He made the most
Um,
excellent Dr.
Yeah.
Hammond, and he also made an excellent Santa Claus.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, so that was a good hype. I know that one scene that gets everyone highly emotional. I felt that when they see what was it? The huge
Yeah,
dinosaur
When
and
they first go
like
to the park.
yeah, get out of the Jeep.
Yeah.
I felt that with the rest of America in 1993. That was a beautiful scene.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I'm glad for that recommendation. I know that I set it up. My brother-in-law said you should probably watch these and review it. So
Yeah.
every time you're not like, I've never watched that. I've never watched that. But it
I'm proud of
was
you.
good.
You
Thank you
follow
so
through with
much.
that because
Yep.
a lot of the films we reference you've never seen, so you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
cross Jurassic Park
I
off
can
your
do it.
list.
And I think I'll watch whatever's next in that franchise.
Predator.
Yeah, I'm not committing to all 9, but we'll see how this goes.
Why not?
Again, it's a commitment thing, and so I'll start small. But yeah, I thought it was good. I get the hype. I get it. So
And I bet that after watching that, you were like, "This should have been a standalone film."
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, it really could have been.
yeah.
The book is excellent, by the way, by
Okay,
Michael Crichton.
yeah, I've obviously I did not have time to do that this
Yeah,
week.
that'll take you a while to read, but it
Yeah.
is an excellent book.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
he's a good author. I read several of his.
Have you? Yeah.
well, it was. I'll give it. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Would recommend. So
Nice.
yeah,
Bad.
yeah.
Stephanie
Good.
approved.
Stephanie approved. I can't say that. I highly doubt that'll be. I don't know what movie I'll pick next to watch that we've discussed here. But I can't imagine I'll love all of them like that. I will tell you straight up, I'm not gonna watch Final Destination. I'm not gonna do it. I can't.
They're all the same.
I have
Everyone
I
dies.
have
Yeah.
too many irrational fears. I don't need the help of a movie.
No problem.
So I'm gonna say 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. Just
All right, we'll bite the bullet. We'll watch
okay.
Final Destination Bloodlines when it comes out for you.
Okay, yeah.
We'll
Thank you
give
so
Yeah,
it
no one
much.
wants to drive down behind the tractor trailer
No,
tall and Mumford anymore.
No,
absolutely not.
Logs.
definitely not. Or
Oh,
PVC pipes or whatever.
Yeah, it was logs. Wooden
Logs.
logs. Yeah. Even
Logs.
better, PVC pipe.
And speaking of movies, we mentioned last episode that we would talk about the new Weapons trailer. Now, at the time, there was only a teaser trailer.
Mhm,
So it just showed, like, the middle of the night, a bunch of kids running out of their house and
mhm.
they're running somewhere together. So did you watch the actual trailer?
I did.
Okay.
And I said to myself, "Oh, I won't be watching that."
So you were like, oh, it looks good. And then I
Yeah.
watched it. I thought, wowzers. This is not.
Yeah.
The teaser looks so good, and then when I watched the full thing, I'm like, no,
It's listed as a
no.
horror thriller.
Oh, 1,000%. When that little kid had the smiley face in the dark classroom,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not watching that, which
So-
is disappointing because I was looking forward to it, but I will not.
So the
No.
brief plot they put on the underneath the description on the trailer. So a whole class, this one
Mhm.
teacher, her whole class goes missing, and it's like 2 something in the morning. So it's
Mhm,
a little bit before the witching hour, but
mhm.
there's only one student that didn't disappear.
Right,
So I wonder I'm assuming that's the kid that
right. Something
looks.
shady with that teacher too, or
Yeah,
maybe
Yeah.
she's just
class at 2
crazy.
o'clock in the morning. There's something shady all
Well,
around.
But she didn't disappear with them. Like
No, and then you
and
see that
that's yeah,
they're blaming her at some
right,
point.
which is fair.
Where's my son?
Yeah, like
I'm
obviously.
like, I don't. You tell
But
me.
then
He was at home with you.
there was some adult that got hit by a car making that weird.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I murdered all your children in the classroom
Yeah,
altogether. There's no
and
blood, nothing
he's-
anywhere whatsoever, but
Yeah.
I'm responsible.
And then the lady stabbing
Yeah.
herself with the fork.
Yeah, that got me. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that wasn't the end, but like the end of
Yeah.
something happened before, and I'm like, yeah, this is done, but I'll finish the trailer.
Not for kids.
no,
You sure? Well,
not for
apparently,
adults
yeah.
either.
Yeah,
So-
sounds
Now-
like not.
I do find it interesting that the title of the movie is Weapons, because now I'm just kind of thinking like, what's like, are they
Right.
is there like some sort of supernatural entity that's drawing these
Yeah.
kids and using them as weapons?
I that's
Is
the vibe I got.
is there a cult that's behind it? I watched
you gotta
Long
watch.
Legs not that long ago, and it kind of brought that up for me because there's a twist in that movie that reveals like
Like that one.
there's a twist in Long Legs that reveals like how the serial killer is able to like get families and whatnot, and it deals with the occult. And I kind of wonder if it's sort of the same thing where there might be like some sort of satanic cult that's drawing children in or something or whatever. But like, yeah, the trailer I will also say was very well done. It doesn't
Mhm.
spoil anything. It
Mhm.
leaves you wondering what the heck is going on. And it's a breath of fresh air because a lot of trailers these days spoil a movie and it makes
Yeah.
me mad.
Yeah, dare I say it was done tastefully? At least
Yeah.
it didn't look like just a gory horror film, but
No,
I
but-
got the vibe that kind of like what he said. It seems to me like a government experiment and then they're trying to cover it up through the process, and there's innocent parties involved.
Correct.
That's the kind of,
That's what I got too.
and it's a town. Obviously, the community's strong, so
Right.
I got some Stranger Thing vibes.
Yeah. Again, I'm not gonna watch it.
Oh, you're gonna watch it.
I can't imagine. It'll have to be like 6 o'clock in the morning. It's daylight, and we'll be daylight for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
best time to watch a horror movie when it's light
Well, it's gonna
out.
be light for a while.
I don't need to have a candle.
absolutely.
No, it's not lame at all.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
whatevs. If
Yeah.
I have to watch it.
I'm just joking with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, do
Most
what you gotta do, but
Yeah, that's the only way. Again, I thought it was gonna be something else. So I had no problem watching the trailer, and I was disappointed. I'm also confused at the amount of scary movies that have been coming out. Like even at Christmas there was one released. It's like
Yeah,
why are we so saturated with this right now?
yeah. 'Tis not the season. I hate
It's not the
horror
season.
films at Christmas time.
Well, in
Yeah.
general, I don't like them, but it's been all year. Like every film that's been advertised lately has been something along that line, and it's weird.
And then even the one Christmas movie that they did come out with that they advertised had to deal with the devil.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like what are we doing?
No, it was awful. I did not appreciate that. So you thought it
Yeah.
was something good, and then
Yeah.
people got
Don't put a
traumatized.
blemish on the season.
No,
I don't like it.
that's fine. There's always Hallmark. So those are great movies.
send a
there-
Hallmark card.
Yeah, I'll admit it. I love a lot of Hallmark movies at Christmas time.
Absolutely.
I will.
How could you not?
I love it.
It's safe. You know what's going to happen. It's beautiful. The snow is always falling. It's wonderful.
Hey,
You
I
guys
know
can
the
keep
plot
your
of
Hallmark
Hallmark.
films. I'll stick with like It's a Wonderful Life.
Well, no, that's
And
the classic.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
A Wonderful
obviously.
Life to me was always trippy.
Why?
Really?
Yeah,
That's a great movie.
When he he gets visited by the angel, and he kind of goes, the whole idea of Christmas past, present, future.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just found it kind of trippy.
Oh, I loved it. That's a great movie.
But I mean, it's not a bad movie, of course. But yeah, I like different.
No, it's a very powerful film. Jimmy Stewart actually was dealing with PTSD while he
Mhm.
was filming that movie.
Mm.
So there's a scene where he's like yelling and he's angry and he's freaking out and things like that. That's actually him having an episode.
It was so good that makes sense
Yeah.
now. Like it was
Yeah.
It seems
yeah,
authentic.
very convincing.
Yeah.
Why it was so
Yeah.
trippy.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's what.
Maybe
it
that's
was.
why what bugs me about it, because that's actually the scene I was thinking of when he's freaking out. I
Yeah.
guess as a child, I thought, man, I feel like I'm watching a private moment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a
Very
good
well
one.
done.
Yeah,
Yes,
classic movie.
but Weapons comes out August 8th. Has Josh Brolin in it. Or buckle your seatbelts.
Ooh, Thanos.
Yeah.
Thanos, yeah, he's in
Yeah.
everything too. Kind of like
Yeah,
Pedro.
he's a really
Pascal.
good actor. He's a really
Really
good.
good
He's one of those guys where if he's in the movie, for the most part, I mean, I don't think that he's been in anything too bad. But then again, there's also still a lot of movies I haven't seen, so I don't know.
No Country
But
for Old
he's
Men.
usually a really good
Like
person to have.
it was almost sad to see him
Yeah.
die in that one, but
Yeah.
good movie.
La 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 la. Spoilers.
I mean, cry. I said cry. I said
Not watching it.
Well, shall we move on to today's topic?
Oh yeah.
All right. So today's topic is the strangest history you've never heard of. So, Steph, you want to go first?
Sure.
I'm anxious. We already know what yours
Yeah.
is, but I'm anxious to hear about it.
Yeah. This came from my brother-in-law because he thinks it's the most fantastic, and he has like a t-shirt that he wears all the time. And he said, "Hey, you should discuss that." So shout out Trace. So mine is about the Great Emu War of Australia from 1932. Have any of you heard of it?
No.
No, not at all.
I've
Have you,
heard of
Pat?
it, but I've never heard any details.
yeah, I'm not really either.
Okay, well, just in case you're wondering, it's actually truth. It's not fake. Um, so this happened right after the war. The soldiers are coming back. Everyone was running out of money. The farmers were gifted a lot of different fields. So, needing money, they started wheat fields, which is great. The problem was instead of the emus going to the coast, like they normally would after the breeding season. They all went kind of inland. So this was in Western Australia, and they came upon the wheat crops and they started destroying the wheat crops. They were eating all the wheat. They were trampling through everything. Like it was devastation. So you have soldiers who are coming home from war, trying to make it again, trying to survive, like, with the Great Depression and all that. And they finally get wheat fields that have been gifted, and the emus come. There are 20,000 emus that are a part of this great war.
Gosh.
20,000. And if you are unfamiliar with emus, uh, they are 6 feet tall and can range anywhere from 90 to 120 pounds, and they can run 40 miles an hour. And you have
Ooh.
20,000 of these who are just completely taking over. So they were just wreaking havoc all over the place. And so the army was called in to take care of this. So all these people were coming in with their machine guns and all of that, trying to kill the emus, and the emus wouldn't die.
They wouldn't die?
So I think they said about 2,500 emus were killed.
That's it?
That's it, of 20,000. A couple were injured, but like they had no bothers of the soldiers. So they did not retreat. They just kept rallying. This went on for 45 days. 45
Gosh.
days this was happening.
They held out that long.
They
Guys,
did.
dig the trenches,
They
bad
did.
natches.
That is wild.
Right? So
They probably couldn't. They kept running around in circles. Like, these guys go on forever.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're all jacked up on wheat.
they said
Hungry.
over 1 million pounds of their currency was lost in this because they couldn't export it because it was gone. So everyone was suffering. So they just continued on. And when I watched one of like the YouTube films, they started it like out by saying like, this may seem funny to you, but this was something that was not silly at all. This is very serious. History. So they ended this war, but then they said, no, we're going to start the second Emu War because we've got to get a control of this. And they thought that they would have better luck because they've already been through the war once
Yeah.
and they could defeat the emus more, but they could not at all. So even with like the machine guns, everything, these emus would not be stopped at all. So someone in the comments that was reading it, and it was perfect with my movie review, he said, this is the closest thing to Jurassic Park we've ever seen or been a part of.
I was just about to say this would be
Yeah.
an excellent movie.
Yeah, right? I did
would
see
watch it.
a trailer for it. It looked like a comedy. I think it was like a low budget one. So through this, they used 2,500 rounds of like the bullets in the guns and still only killed 2,500 emus out of 20,000.
Time to bring in the tanks.
They did.
Bring it. The tanks.
It
Hope they get
didn't
shot
matter.
enough
The
bullets.
emus were on it. So they said the emus lost the battle, but they did win the war.
Yeah.
As far as soldiers on our end, they made it clear that none of their soldiers lost their lives, but they all lost their dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't no joke.
Yes. So it is, again, it's one thing I think they teach in their history classes. I had never heard of it prior to Trace wearing the shirt about the Emu Wars. And then he suggested doing that, and it was hilarious. Everything I watched, it just got even better, or I read. It was just hilarious.
I bet
So,
the emus would disagree.
they won.
Yeah,
They
but
won 2 wars against the emus, and they won. So
It
only,
makes
only way you win, like, what? How many you like lose 2,500? Didn't kill anyone.
out of 20,000.
But still win. That's a.
Can you imagine though, like 20,000 6-foot tall emus?
well, that's the thing. It makes
Like-
me think of turkeys here. Have you ever seen a turkey here in Indiana?
Yeah.
from a distance, they look like little people running, but
Mhm.
they're incredibly intelligent and they're
Yes.
stealthy and they're fast.
Yes.
So 10 times that size, a 6 foot.
For sure.
I mean, if they had that kind of a talent, they would be
Right.
hard to kill.
They would. And they're not even flying, and that's even better. Like,
Yeah, but
you're
they
not shooting at the
just
sky.
land
But yeah,
cover in Australia, and
Yeah.
like they're able to run 35, 40 mile an hour,
40 miles
Yeah.
an hour.
and in pretty much in any direction,
Yeah.
change directions in a heartbeat. So much more
I-
maneuverable than most vehicles.
I
So
just, like,
they
they-
came inland,
Yeah.
but where were they getting their food source before?
I'm not sure. They were, again, after the breeding happens, they tend to go back to the coast. So I don't know.
Okay.
What I imagine was, since all the soldiers were coming back and starting these wheat fields, all of a sudden there was a plethora of food for the emus. They didn't need to go back to the coast. So,
Gosh.
yeah. So they were destroying everything, though. So it wasn't even just that they were eating the wheat. It was that they were destroying the fences and stomping over so it was just mass chaos. But
Man.
they were living their best life. And, I think they went to war thinking, if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never have a bad day in war. And they won.
I wonder if one of
So-
the emus' name was Caesar.
I hope so.
Yeah,
No
sure.
more man.
Like, I just can't even imagine, like, the mocking that those emus had to have done to the
Would
soldiers.
it be mockingbirds?
Yeah.
We gotta
And we
need you,
wouldn't-
you mockingbird. Yeah,
I can't even imagine. You bring in machine guns. They said something about using the guerrilla tactics, and it's just like, and you still lost 45 days, and you killed 2,500
It
emus.
just sounds like the Australians can shoot like stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they should have hired hunters rather than a military.
Well, they started doing like the bounties on the emus too. So then other people joined in, but it didn't matter. The emus were too strong, and their dignity was not lost. So
No,
yeah,
just
it's
realize.
just wild.
That's so outlandish. It's
Ken.
hard to believe that's real.
Yeah.
But
It is true. And it's great.
Is it really that hard to believe? I mean,
It's a little.
not really.
It's
That
Australia.
must be, I mean, it's mankind. So just watch the news.
Yeah, with all the wild beasts that they have in Australia.
yeah.
It-
Isn't one of
it's
the most
weird that-
dangerous places on earth?
Yeah, it's weird that the emus were the ones to take you down. But
There's a
Oh.
lot of things they eat down in Australia.
Hmm.
right.
Land
So
from down under.
that's what I got. I hope you guys learned something.
I love it.
The Great Emu War. Of
I never knew. I
1932.
never pick a fight with an emu
No,
or a war.
Yeah.
it needs to be a film directed by Christopher Nolan. That'd be cool.
Yeah, sure.
No, I love it. Very
Thanks.
cool.
Thank you.
All right.
Well,
so
I
my
actually just
turn.
looked on,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say I actually just looked on to see if there is a movie about this, and I'm seeing something that says the Emu War,
Liberty Mutual. Emu.
and they and apparently in this version, I guess it was released in 2023.
Yeah.
In this version, the emus are fighting back
Yes.
with
Yes.
machine guns
Yeah.
and
was
holding them
extremely
hostage.
graphic. Yeah. And I love that twist. And I want to believe that's what happened, but I think they were just laughing at the soldiers. Can you imagine, though, coming back from war, fighting, and that massive of a war, and you come back home and you immediately have to start up with emus and you lose twice?
A different kind of enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More destructive. I don't know. That's wild. But
Yeah, well, like, I mean, I guess there's better things to happen, but
yeah, clearly.
All right, I guess mine. So I knew Steph was gonna do something about the emu, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go something along the lines of animals too, because and it found it, just by doing that, I kind of find it hard to find anything, but I did find something. So I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of the I guess it's spelled Wojtek. I think it might be pronounced Wojtek. The Sicilian brown bear. Anyone ever heard of that name or anything?
Uh-uh.
All right. Well,
Bears.
so
Wait.
the story go ahead.
Spell it again.
Wojtek.
Bears.
Yeah.
Walker, Texas Rangers Bears.
It says it phonetically spelled Wojtek is what it looks like. So, but
Mm.
anyways, besides the correct the way to pronounce it, because none of us going to have that time to figure that out. It was a bear that was adopted by soldiers in the Second Polish Corps during World War II.
Yes. Okay. I'm with you.
Okay, and so as a cub, the mother was shot by apparently hunters and was found in the mountains of Iran by a young kid. Would be what I'm guessing what Wikipedia is telling me. And then that boy sold him to a group of Polish soldiers, and they were in the country after being evacuated from the Soviet Union. Okay, and it was provided for his rations and transportation. The bear was all right. He was eventually enlisted as an officer, as a soldier in the rank of private. Okay, this bear was for some whatever reason, and then so what he did end up doing, he ended up carrying supplies for the Polish army, and what they it was serving with the 22nd Artillery Supply Company during the Battle of Monte Cassino in 1944. I was like,
Man,
Yeah.
right after the
Dude,
Emu
I've
War.
heard this before.
I think I
I've seen a
have too.
picture.
I've
Yeah.
never
You're-
heard this before at all.
You're unlocking my memories.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, it said Wojtek helped move crates of ammunition and became a celebrity with visiting Allied generals and statesmen. And then after the war, because he survived the battle, which was I'm just kind of wanting to figure out how he moved and how they trained him. But
Yeah,
he
a
ended up
bear.
going to the Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland. And then after that, he died. I think he lived about 20 years. It looked like he was died. He was born 1942 and died in 1963, which kind of seems young for a bear. But then again,
I don't know the lifespan of a bear.
I don't really know either.
How does it say how big the bear was compared to?
It doesn't look to be like he was a huge bear.
Not like a Kodiak bear or
And the
anything.
one pictures given here is not much. I mean,
Could you imagine their enemies? Like, they have bears.
yeah, but how do you get a bear? I mean, yeah, he looks like a pretty good sized bear. I mean, when he was, let's say he's normal size, pretty good size, but
Would you say more dangerous than an emu?
no
more
way.
dangerous. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know about he's more
20,000?
invasive.
Yes.
Cool, because I was like, how do you train a bear to carry supplies? And they got monuments all of them everywhere. Like it was and this was nothing I'd ever even heard of before. So like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But
They said you pronounce his name Wojtek.
Wojtek, yeah.
Wojtek.
Mhm.
Are you saying B as in boy or V as in? Okay.
B as
Oh,
in
it's a
boy.
boy. Okay.
Mhm.
I was born. I figured something like
Wojtek.
that. But
No. Very cool. We're on animal trend.
Yeah. Did you guys stick with animals?
No.
I thought it'd be cool if they had like maybe 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, we have this
That-
army or
We
a
have a-
squad of
That
bears.
theme.
Wojtek Bear Army.
We
One
get
of-
I
3
mean,
of
how
them
cool would it be to be like to have a bear
for
with
your
you in your
squad.
platoon?
I know.
Oh, I'd love
right?
it.
That would be very cool.
You would be the coolest platoon worldwide. I don't even care whatever. Like, hey, I got a bear in my platoon and he carries my ammo.
Mhm.
Oh my god, Gatling gun. Where is he? Hold this, buddy. Because that ammunition's got to get heavy quick. Someone's carrying the chain.
It's nothing to a bear.
Yeah, if you're a bear, it'd be nothing right there.
I could see myself becoming close to a bear. Like my brother told me that he went to I can't remember which zoo it was, but I think he and his family went to the zoo and like they saw they went over to the bear section for lack of a better term. And
Exhibit.
yeah, bear exhibit, thank you.
Good term.
Bear section.
Section.
There's nothing here.
Exhibit.
For lack of a better
But
term.
he said that he was waving at it and it made eye contact with him and it started waving back.
Oh, weird.
That would be the
So,
best.
Yeah.
I would love
so,
that.
I mean, like,
Scratch and sniff was what it was.
I love that. When I looked up the pronunciation of this, I like that one of the questions Google got was, did Wojtek this bear smoke? And the answer is yes.
Yes,
He was
had
known to
to.
smoke cigarettes,
Yes.
but he often consumed them instead of puffing on them. And
That makes sense.
someone tried to say that he liked drinking beer, but they said no, it was probably tea or water. So
Hmm.
I like it. It's
Very
a fun
cool.
one. Yeah.
I love it. 2 in a
Yeah.
row.
Well, I've actually seen a bear in real life one time, like outside of a cage. Just I went to Canada, which obviously not that uncommon for most people, but it was actually the only person that got out of the vehicle to look at the bear and get pictures was the smallest person in the entire convoy. I was like, "Get back in! That's I think a 800-pound bear. What are you doing?" And it was in Canada. They're pretty dang big. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm assuming they're brown bears.
Yeah, but I'm imagining the size would be similar. I mean, you see one bear. I'm not saying they're all the same size, but
No, they're not.
they're
No.
definitely intimidating.
Yeah. Like I've seen a lot of black bears in the South, Tennessee,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kentucky, and they're like, I don't know, like 150 pounds. They're pretty big, and then they probably stand 5 feet tall, but they can climb trees like it's nothing. It's
Yeah. uh,
pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah, I can say I
Mhm.
think brown bears are bigger than black bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. All right, Jorge, you got an
All
animal one
right.
for us?
Uh, sort of.
Oh,
Oh, sort of.
Sort of. So this is about the super soldier human hybrids.
But we are
Uh,
on theme today.
yeah. So this
Jeez.
happened in the so this happened in the 20s. So um
Captain America.
so this event specifically took but it was between 1924 and 1930, and this had to deal with the USSR, and this was all ordered by Stalin. So um Stalin had sent this guy by the name of Ilya Ivanov. This was in 1927. He sent him to French New Guinea to attempt human ape hybridization. And in 1929 to 1930 is when Ivanov planned to inseminate human women with ape sperm in the Soviet Union. So already off on a terrible start here.
bestiality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, the ideological ambition was that the Soviet Union, they wanted to create the new Soviet man. They wanted a being that was stripped of religion, full of loyalty to the state, and capable of great endurance and labor. Um, and in the early 19 and so in the early 20th century, it was filled with this belief that science could conquer nature, and crossbreeding species was seen as a frontier of human control over biology. And there was this interest in whether a hybrid species could be used for war or forced labor, being stronger, tougher, and more obedient. And the other thought process was that a successful man animal hybrid would challenge the religious claims of human beings being unique or made in God's image, which would be fitting to the Soviets' anti-religious propaganda. So the unfortunately for them, um, all their experiments failed. No, there was no human ape hybrid that they could successfully come up with. The scientist Ivanov, he was discredited. He and he was exiled. Um, and his work eventually was classified and buried by the Soviet government. Um, and as far as like the legacy, it actually damaged the credibility of Soviet biological research for years.
Mhm.
You think?
So,
I mean, that's pretty horrid. I mean, let's just do
yeah,
whatever we want to anyone, and no one's gonna.
yeah, the links that they were willing to go to uh try to come up with this ape super soldier hybrid is just so crazy to me. And the fact that I actually heard about this just a few years ago, actually, and I didn't think it was real. I thought that it was a myth. I thought that it was uh a I don't know, like some sort of like um conspiracy theory, but no, like Stalin was into some weird stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, even after what was it, World War II, he wouldn't even leave USSR. He wouldn't leave Russia, or what do you wanna call it? Yeah, all the negotiations had to be done within inside his borders of Russia,
within the Soviet Union.
Soviet Union, yeah, USSR, whatever one it was at that time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Stalin was quoted saying, "I want a new invincible human being, insensitive to pain, resistant and indifferent about the quality of food they eat."
Gosh.
It's
yeah.
wild that one person thought that was a good idea, but then the fact that there were more is even more
Right.
insane. Like,
Well,
that's crazy.
his counterpart, so this was, in World War II, the
Mhm.
Germans had Dr. Mendele.
Mhm.
Do you remember him? He did
Mhm.
those horrific science experiments on
And
a lot of
again,
Jewish people.
right, and that goes back, it's just wild to me that one person would have that thought process of any of these things, and then let alone
I mean, it's
more. It's
times of
crazy.
war. It's funny, they were trying to create a super soldier
Mhm.
in whatever means necessary.
It's just crazy.
We were doing the
It's
same
just
thing
insane.
with Captain America.
I I thought that's where you were going with it.
Oh, I went there.
Yeah, you did. I've
But
also never seen those movies, so
our country's guilty of it too. We just
well, yeah, but we started small with pigeons. So,
that was post World War
yeah,
II.
I'm just saying I can get behind some of that. That makes sense. Or having a bear, but when you're messing with people's lives, I don't know.
I mean,
It's just wild.
we split the atom.
Yeah,
We had hybrids.
just get a gorilla soldier in there.
Jorge,
I don't know. It's wild.
do you think he successfully made some hybrids, or do you think that he did not? I think he did.
I think that they probably did, and they're just like, and like they just didn't tell anybody. Like, I feel like, and I don't know why, but I feel like, uh, because I remember bringing up how like there actually was uh that
Mhm.
experiment in the last
Yeah.
episode. Yeah. Or yeah, there was an experiment that was done where they actually did, you know, mix like DNA and things like that.
With a chimp, human DNA and a chimp.
Yeah. So like I think it is possible, absolutely, that they did have some success, but then like maybe it didn't happen on a larger scale that they wanted. So then they just deemed it a failure, and they were willing to just discredit this scientist completely. So I mean, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, anything's possible. It's happened before, so it's been known. It'll happen again. History repeats itself.
Well, the words of Mark Twain: "Truth is stranger than fiction."
That's
Mm,
true.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever would have. I don't think I ever would have like imagined that a story like this would actually be real. And the
no,
fact
not
that
at all.
there was actually people and the fact that there was actually people that were, like, behind this and were, like, ready to do it is even more crazy to me,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, it's not crazy to me because there was already probably people doing it right now.
The thing, how you go from being like a kindergarten, just drawing flowers, to be like, I wanna mess with some people. I
Scary
don't know.
movies like Final
Yeah,
Destination
and
and
weapons.
Weapons.
Yeah, that's wild, and I didn't know that.
It's our
It's a good
sin
one.
nature at its finest.
It is.
Seriously.
Can't escape.
S so I'm actually on the Roads and Kingdoms website, and I'm reading more about, and I've got more about Ilya Ivanov. So it's saying that his early research revolutionized artificial insemination. It allowed one stallion to fertilize up to 500 mares. Natural insemination allowed a
Bears?
maximum of 30 fertilizations. His later experiments were some of the earliest successes in interspecific hybridization. Ivanov created the guinea pig mouse and mouse rat. He experimented with larger species too, creating the cow antelope and zebra donkey. And he created the zorse, which is a
Donkey?
combination of
Zebra
zebra.
horse.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yep. Yep. 46 chromosomes and 64 of the zebra and 64 chromosomes of the horse. And
A
we can
lot
see
of horse.
why we can see why
I'm
the
not
idea.
as offended by that.
Well, they're of the same species.
Yeah, it's not it's go crazy. I mean, don't go
Well,
crazy. I don't wanna say that. I'm just saying, like, that's less offensive to me.
I really like your stripes. Well, I
Yeah,
really like your solid color.
yeah.
Well, I
But
guess we can
deer.
see why, like, that idea of crossing a ape with a human being would have seemed like a good idea to them, I guess, because they're thinking, oh, we can do everything else with these other things, so we
They should
can
have
try this.
time traveled and watched
It
Planet of the Apes and know what they were doing.
it is
Caesar.
interesting though to think of like evolution and all of that. Like you kind of just proved evolution from apes going to people isn't real when you just tried to like,
Yeah.
you know,
That is a really good point.
thank you.
Yeah, because like if you if we were descendants of apes, you would think that something like that would have, or an experiment like that, we would have no problem being able to cross
Right.
the
Yeah.
DNA
And it
or
wouldn't even
anything
be
like
across
that.
DNA because it's all
It would
from the
be
same.
Or right, we would
observable.
be in the same
Yeah.
DNA,
Yeah.
but I guess
Yeah. Darwinism,
It-
observable, it doesn't exist. We
Yeah.
don't turn into apes, and just like a fish doesn't turn
Right.
into an emu.
But I feel like that, I mean, that would kind
And
of
why do people turn into
prove it.
idiots?
Culture.
Well, like that guy, his defense, he's like, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
That would be fun.
I
Uh,
had
Interesting.
research
Yeah,
Mm.
I like
and I
that.
thought
Cool.
it was right.
Seemed like a good idea.
Look, don't judge, okay? We've all done things that we're not proud of.
value.
But yeah, Stalin's crazy, and I guess the USSR was, at least from what I read, it made it sound like at least Stalin was very anti-God. So I guess that kind of
Yeah,
I
like
think that
that
makes
was
makes
sense.
obvious.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to play
Uh,
God.
Most
I am reading more here. It says we can at least entertain the thought that Stalin and his characteristic blend of utilitarianism and paranoia would have considered building an army of ape men. But
Mm.
there's another theory. In the Rabbit King of Russia, Reginald Oliver Gilling Irk suggests that Ivanov's plan was to fertilize the apes by artificial methods and bring back the mothers with their little human apes to gladden the hearts of the anti God society in Soviet Russia and prove that there is no God. Perhaps in gaining access to the powers of creation, Stalin was hoping to cement the Soviet Union's passage into Darwinist anti theism and bring down his only political rival, God. So,
Sure.
guess that
Yes, that
That's
pretty
fixed
much goes
that.
in what I was
I mean,
saying.
most dictators want to be have a God simplex,
yeah,
right?
well
Pharaoh and
spoken from a
Moses.
dictator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
the kids
So it
would say,
was,
that didn't age well.
No.
Oh, so like that.
jeez.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that was being done and that was being done from the 20s and 30s. So you can only imagine how far we've come now.
The world was crazy
Yeah.
during that time.
Yeah.
My word.
You think?
Yeah.
Not only an arms race, but a,
I think the old
a
world's always been crazy. You just
Well,
eugenics race.
right.
I mean, imagine. Well, we can't really imagine, but the idea, the metaphor of Planet of the Apes isn't that far off. That
Mhm.
creating, a superhuman at whatever cost. It's funny how they pick.
well, really,
And-
they didn't even create a super. They just created a really smart species of ape. They didn't even alter the
Well-
DNA. They just well, I mean, they did alter it, but they didn't like. They still look like apes. They didn't make them look like humans. They just gave them the higher capacity for higher intelligence or
Well,
capacity for higher intelligence. Yeah.
Is that the plot of that film?
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much they just taught them, and then they didn't like. I'm not sure how much they actually changed the DNA. I'm not saying they didn't have splicing, but I mean, if you look at them, they're still look like apes. There's ape and man. They don't just say, "Hey, we're both the same." You were just farther down the line. No, we're just like, "Hey, no, hey, we're smart ape. You dumb human."
Because when they redid the film with James Franco,
Yeah.
and it was Caesar was
James Franco.
Mhm.
Was that who played it? I thought it went with Mark Wahlberg.
I think
Oh, you know what? You are thinking of like the early 2000, who's the weird guy that's always working with Johnny Depp? He's the one that directed this film,
Tim
Planet of
Burton.
the
Robert
Apes.
Burton. Yeah.
It was Tim Burton. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. So the ones that James is talking about is I think it was called like Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. I mean, I think I've seen all of them, maybe except for the original,
Yeah.
which
and
was.
I think the plot of that one, I don't know if they did.
That was my understanding of it anyways, but go ahead.
Yeah. That might have been the original one, but this one, I feel like it wasn't, they weren't genetically modified. They were just they tapped into in like an ape's
Maybe might have been what it was. It's been a while.
intelligence. But anyways, it got out of control, and
I thought they gave him tests, like, it
they
was
might have. It's been a
or
long
something,
time.
or gave him the like,
Hmm.
gave me the ability. I could be wrong. Like I said, it's been a while, and I don't remember every plot of every movie. That's why I rewatch them.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch the original Planet of the Apes movies. Charlton Heston, man.
Mm.
These apes are getting out of control.
Can you believe that I've watched that one? I
No.
have seen that one.
Don't you lie.
I'm not. I have watched it.
Your lies.
No, I promise.
Well,
I
that's pretty good
remember
because
that.
I
Cross
don't
your
think I've
finger.
ever watched them in their entirety.
No, I did it. It was for a class, so I
Okay.
have watched it. That one at least, and I never watched it again. Why? Because it was stupid. So, so it's one for me.
No, I like it. Very cool. That's
Yeah,
3
it's good.
animals.
Right? Are you gonna end us on an animal note as well?
Yeah,
You
but
will-
it has to do with World War II
Yeah.
a little bit.
Whoa! So
Yeah.
everyone had animals and the military.
Well, I didn't have any
Wild.
animals.
I thought you just said,
No, I said World War II.
but you said animal before that.
Did I? I don't think so.
You're just talking about mankind being animals.
Yeah. Anyways, I can't hit the rewind button
Please,
right now.
please, someone, go ahead.
So, mine is Adolf Hitler and the Spear of Destiny.
It's not an
This sounds like
animal.
a Indiana Jones sequel
does.
title.
Yeah, no
That's a bad
kidding.
comedy.
It's not a comedy.
It's a
So,
really bad one.
the Spear of Destiny. The spear goes by several names, such as the Spear of Destiny, Holy Lance, or Spear of Longinus. The spear itself is said to be the spear that pierced Christ's side when he was crucified on the cross. The man who speared Christ was not named in the Bible, but in Catholicism is named Longinus. And actually, he has reached sainthood, so Saint Longinus.
Right.
It is assumed, but not fact, that Longinus is a centurion at Christ's crucifixion who pierced his side, and the one that said, "Truly, this was the Son of God." That's in Matthew 27:54.
Wasn't he blind? Right, and he was healed.
The centurion?
The guy that was he's the one that put the spirit. I think he was blind, and then that's how he knew he was the real Messiah, was because when the blood spurted out on his eyes, his blindness was cured. But I could be wrong.
I don't remember that.
I've
do you?
never heard that.
No,
That
I'm-
is actually correct.
I've never heard that.
I've never heard
Yeah.
that either.
Insane.
He had issues with his eyes. I don't know what
Go ahead.
more you're going to go into, so I'm not going to say too much until you're done. But yes, he did have. I don't know if he was blind in one eye or if he was just having trouble with his vision in both eyes.
Something like that.
But after the blood spurted onto his face, he actually regained his sight, and then he ended up. That's what started his faith in Jesus.
Yeah.
They didn't teach
So,
us that as in Bible college, just so that's out there.
yeah, we'll have to look it up. I've
Learning
never
that-
heard. I've never heard of
that.
this.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's
it would
wild.
make sense.
not teaching that in Bible school either.
Yes.
So or VBS.
VBS. But in Catholicism, naturally, he reached sainthood,
Mhm.
assuming that his conversion was probably pretty clear
I
when he
would
witnessed
think that it
Christ
was.
die on the cross, especially since he's quoted. And so Adolf Hitler's part in this is rumored, not known, but if it is proven or not, observed the Spear of Destiny at a museum in Vienna, Austria, where when he observed it, he supposedly had a supernatural experience looking at it. And that he had a vision from the spear and he saw himself leading the Third Reich into world dominance. So maybe had some supernatural power there. I don't know, predestination maybe.
Lord.
Say what?
Say, good Lord, psychopath.
Yeah. And it was said too that when the spear landed into Allied forces towards the end of World War II, amongst other relics and artwork, since the Germans had so much of it, that Hitler at that point suicided himself. So right when they got the spear, he just popped himself in the head. I personally don't believe that he killed himself
Nope.
in the eagle's nest, but that's a whole nother
He
conversation.
definitely didn't.
But who really knows? So what I found amazing was these people, especially these dictators, they take drastic measures and everything, but they go after these magical relics. and somehow they believe they can harness or control its supposed power. It's kind of like when we talked about the Ark of the Covenant,
Mhm.
that they're going after it, or as every illustration in the Indiana Jones films, when they open the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark, their faces melted off,
Mhm.
or when they went after the Carpenter's Cup, which was Christ's cup. He chose poorly, if you remember that, the knight standing there, and he drank of it, and he aged and disintegrated.
Mhm. Good time.
So, in popular culture, the band Tenacious D,
Mm.
featuring the band members Jack Black and Kyle Gass, had a movie called Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny.
Yeah.
So when I heard the Spear of Destiny, that's the first thing I thought of. I said that has to be related. And according to fandom.com, the Pick of Destiny was conceptualized by Kyle Gass from the band from the Spear of Destiny. The story arc in that film is complete opposite of the Spear of Destiny. The guitar pick is made from the Devil's Tooth and grants whoever uses it the power of rock and something like that. I've never seen the film.
You've never seen the Pick of Destiny?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can't say it's terrible, but it's definitely different.
Yeah, sacrilegious.
Yeah, I don't. And watching back when I was a kid, I was
Heavily.
like, okay,
Lord.
now I was like, nah, I'd bypass it because now I know.
So there is a book. It's called Adolf Hitler and the Secrets of the Holy Lance by Colonel Howard A. Buckner and Captain Wilhelm Bernhardt. So it was come highly recommended. I just found it fascinating that it sounds like something made up, the Spear of Destiny.
Mhm.
And like I said, it has many names, Holy Lance, Spear of Longinus, but that people still go after this stuff. And even one of the world's most terrible dictators had something to do with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think the spear has anything to do besides the fact that it's just the one that poked in there. It's really
Right.
meaningless. Ain't gonna give no power. It doesn't
No.
hold anything. I mean, if anything, it would be a curse.
That's
But
what I would think.
definitely be a curse. I mean, all the sins that
Yeah.
just saying, that's my perspective. So
Yeah.
that's probably why anyone that gets near it probably is like, yeah, get the heck away from me. Get
Yeah.
about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, just a little more on Saint Longinus. Just in short, after that incident when the blood met his eyes, he converted. He left the army. He took instruction from the apostles, and he became a monk in Cappadocia. There, he was arrested for his faith. His teeth were forced out, and his tongue was cut off. However, he was miraculously able to continue to speak clearly, and he managed to destroy several idols in the presence of the governor. And the
Mm.
reason why a lot of people suspect he was still able to speak clearly is because God was speaking through him.
Mhm.
And the governor, I'm sorry. So then he managed to destroy several idols in the presence of the governor. So then the governor, who was actually made blind by the demons that came from the idols, had his sight restored when Saint Longinus was beheaded because his blood came in contact with the governor's eyes. And so Saint Longinus's relics are now in the Church of Saint Augustine in Rome. And his lance is contained in one of the four pillars over the altar of Basilica of Saint Peter's in Rome. Um, and
It's a
so
crazy story though. 'Cause
So what historical document is that written in?
I think from what I read, it was it said like one of the apocryphal books. It was like the
Oh,
book of
okay.
That makes sense.
Nicodemus or something like that.
Okay.
there's like 150 since
Because
then. So
in scripture, the centurion that pierced Christ's side is not even named.
Mhm.
No,
So
That's
but you also have to remember that there are other because if you even look at how the apostles died, or how all the disciples died, those are not in scripture. Those are historically documented by by other documents as well. So I think that definitely there's more documents out there that are not part of scripture but are more in tune with what scripture says. I mean, um I'll have to find it. I think from what I saw it was the book of the apocryphal book of Nicodemus or something like that.
Check your Ethiopian Bible, Kyle.
Yeah, I have to.
But no,
Should.
I've never heard of that. I'm not saying it's
Yeah,
made up or anything.
no,
I've never heard of that
because
coming
that feels
from.
like something that would be crucial, like
Yes.
even at that very moment.
Yeah.
I know.
It makes sense,
Absolutely.
but
It's just, that's wild.
yeah,
It's
interesting
actually
nonetheless.
funny that you bring this up because what is it? Ninjas and Butterflies? That podcast?
Yeah, I think it's ninjas are butterflies.
Ninjas Are Butterflies? Well,
Think so.
they're the ones that talked about it. And not
Are you
only
serious?
that, my wife literally showed me this very thing just the other night.
Interesting.
So that's crazy.
No, I found this. I'll take credit. I found this all on my own. I didn't even see that. Great minds think alike.
Yeah, no
Yeah, I didn't
kidding.
hear, but I just kind of. I mean, I see a little bit of this and that, but like, no, I
Well, I was scrolling for something to talk about, and I came across this, and I researched it further. I thought, wow. So
And that wasn't put in the movie The Passion of the Christ either, right? Because I feel like that'd be something that
no,
I
No,
would
they didn't.
remember.
No, I don't remember.
there's a lot of things, but I mean, that's just like up until he gets,
I know, but that
Yeah.
was a big scene, and I
It
know
was.
this guy getting his sight back wasn't the
right. No, I get that.
important theme of the
Well,
No.
but
That's what I'm thinking. I think a
it's
lot of things
interesting.
but
are
he was a
passed
soldier,
over.
though. You
Yeah.
think they wouldn't be allowed to have a soldier that would be half blind? See
Well,
what I'm saying? To be on duty.
I mean,
That's
you're guarding the guy that's on a stake. I mean, what?
but still, all those people that like wanted
Mhm.
to bring him
To
down.
bring him down, yeah.
I
Crowd
mean,
control.
I guess it would make sense that a centurion would probably have eye issues, especially because like, those guys fought and so there's no telling like what kind of battles he got into. He probably was struck in the head a few times and it caused uh
Mhm.
issues with his eyesight. I could see it.
Bad
It's
eyesight, high
fascinating.
honor.
What's that, Kyle?
Bad eyesight, high honor.
It makes me think of that scene in 300. It's not the first one, maybe the second one, when the the second in command loses one of his eyes, and he's like, "I'm sorry about that. Sorry, you lost your eye." He's like, "God was kind enough to give me a spare."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's
He's the dude.
uh
Yeah, BA.
yeah."
Yeah. So I'm seeing the Gospel of Nicodemus is
Okay, that would be
what
one.
it
I'll have
is.
to look
Yeah.
that. I'll have to look at
I
one
don't
up.
have that one.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Fascinating.
So
What an awesome story too.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's the spear
Hmm.
is. I mean, it's a real thing, and what amazes me the most is how people can hold on to these relics for so many years, and whether it's the real one or not.
Um,
So the Catholic Church does have people. So it's actually really funny because there's the guy that I listen to. His name is Father Carlos Martins. He's an exorcist, and he's known as the relic guy. So he holds on to a lot of relics from saints and things like that. And he does test. He does have his own way of making sure that they are legitimate or if they're just fake relics. But I mean, he even assures people he's like, it's not magic.
I remember when Christ was um, ministering, and I believe the woman who
That's his robe.
touched his robe, but she was suffering from like internal bleeding or something, and she
Something.
just.
blood disease.
But it was the act of the faith of believing that he could heal
Yes.
her.
Yes,
And
that's
he
correct.
didn't touch him, but his robe, and she was healed.
Mhm.
And he asked, "Who touched me?"
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
And
mean,
then he told her that she would be
Yes.
healed. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
her faith
Her
that healed
faith
her,
that
not
healed her.
Right.
Yeah.
yes.
Yep. Correct.
But if somehow in my life I came across the spear of destiny, I wouldn't even think about touching it.
No,
I just
I
don't.
mean that still goes back to the psychics when they found the
Yeah.
Ark of the Covenant. I'm not gonna have any
Yeah.
part of that.
No. Or the pick of
Thanks.
destiny.
Yeah.
I think the Ark of the Covenant is whenever the sins released upon the world. It's like a seal. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't be a part of that. So
I hear that.
yeah.
I think we got some good stuff here.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I couldn't find it. But I'll find it. All right. Well, this has been another episode of the Milkhouse podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to follow, leave a review, share with your friends and family. Peace out.
thank you.
See you next week.
Goodbye.